Welcome to the channel. Today's fix-it is I'm going to work on my Dreamcast. I've got an issue where once I power the unit on, I'm going to get the screen where it's asking for date and time. Once you power off and power cycle back on, it comes up again, which is the issue is the battery needs to replace, a rechargeable battery. Also, there's also a fuse while I'm in there that I want to replace for the controller ports. This is a resettable fuse, so if the fuse ever gets blown, once you power it off and cycle it back on, it automatically resets itself. So I'm going to start now, and let's see if we can fix this. Okay, so here's the Dreamcast. I'm going to give you what supplies I'm going to use. Now, this is really I'm a novice with soldering, so this is kind of for people who have never soldered before. This is actually the first time I've opened the Dreamcast to replace the battery and doing any soldering. So you're going to bear with me a little bit on that. I've done a very small amount, so I probably got less than 5 hours in soldering in my lifetime. So that's why I want to put it on this channel. I'm an amateur, and we'll see what we can do. So first off, what you'll need to have, you want to get the replaceable rechargeable battery. This is an ML 2032. They do have the standard 2032, but it's not rechargeable. It would have to be replaced. So you could have to take it apart, put it back in. So this one will recharge itself. But just make sure you get the model. I did these from Amazon, but it's an ML 2032. I also bought a pack from Amazon. This is going to have LED lights or LED bulbs in there too. I'm not going to replace those. It is working fine. I'm not modifying anything. I'll leave it as is. But this is the fuse I was telling you about that will allow us. Sorry about that. So that fuse is the resettable fuse I was mentioning before. Now I've also got a battery connector. This is what will go in once we take the other one out, and this is allow us to put the battery in. So that's really all the parts you're going to need. Now I have solder, flux, an extractor. First time I've ever used this, but this is the braided. This will actually help pull out the solder also. Okay, so that should be everything I have. Also, I do have a soldering iron. Did kind of upgrade to that one just to have something that I can control the heat a little bit easier. So, all right, let's start up and see what we can get done. Okay, now, I didn't mention you also will need a Phillips head screwdriver. Now, this is the Dreamcast. There is a modem, an old dial-up back in the day modem. That'll have to be removed. There's going to be a screw here, a second screw there, third screw here, and a fourth screw here. So that's what I'm going to remove. Okay, I do want to mention, I had a screwdriver. This is from in the US, there's a discount kind of tool store called Harbor Freight. So they have a similar like iFixit model of bits, but this bit's not long enough. I did find out these are a little bit longer, deeper in the Dreamcast, so I had to go get a standard screwdriver. So I will go ahead and remove the screws now. I also suggest having a little tray or something to hold your screws. Again, I am an amateur, so I have a tendency to take things off, lose screws and things, so it does help me when I try to keep it organized as I go. This guy here, I'm gonna have to dump out. Okay, so we should be able to lift the lid out, lift the lid off. Oh, I do have like an older game in there. Okay, so what we're going to do, this is the control board that we need to do all the work with. So there's the battery, of course. This is going to be the fuse. You're going to have two ribbon cables, or I'm sorry, a ribbon cable and a plug, and you're going to have these 4 screws, which I'm going to remove now. This ribbon should be able to just work it out. Then we have the plug here. I'm gonna try to use a pair of tweezers to get on there. Now I found on these plugs, on things I've worked on before, is it is somewhat easier to grab the actual plug and work it out. I've tried using tweezers, and I've broken these before. So that's removed and that's removed. So let's go ahead and remove this part. So must be a little bit left on there. And I got this guy down in here that fell off originally. There's the 4. Alright, so let's remove the control board. So this is actually what we're going to do most of our work on today. So I'm going to set that aside. That's awfully gross. I've never opened this, and there's a bug in this guy. It's uncool. Okay. So again, there's the battery, and back here is where the fuse is that we're going to replace. So we've got 3 solder joints, and then we'll have the fuse. So at this point, I'm going to work on trying to get the solder off of there and remove the battery first, and I'll come back and do the fuse when I'm done. I'm going to try the wicking first to see if I can get the solder removed from that. I want to zoom in here so you can watch what I'm doing. Let's see if we can break up this solder and remove it. This is designed to do is take the solder and wick it into the braid. I don't have they do make fancier guns that extract these if you're doing a lot of this work. I don't have that, and I have not did that many repairs. This might be something I do in the future, but currently this is what I have to work with. One more left here. Alright, let's see where we're at. So this is where we're at. Let's see if this will come out or not. Wow. Actually, I'm kind of impressed it came out that quick. Alright. So now this is what's going in. So we're going to just basically place those 3 points into the board. I'm going to click that in. We're going to turn it upside down. And now I'm going to attempt to solder. I do want to add a little bit of flux. You don't always have to use flux, but some of the videos I do have watched, it is important to do a little bit of flux. It helps the solder flow, and I need all the help I can get, because again, I'm pretty new at this. All right, let's see what we can do here. Okay. Looks like that's in there. All right, now I'm going to replace the fuse. Again, it's going to be the back fuse and put this unit in there. Looks like it's, and I'll get a description at the end if you like of what I've used. All right, let's go back to the board here. So again, I'm replacing this fuse back here. Did find out if you cut off the wick in little pieces, it does make it easier to hold when you're doing the work. Alright, so basically this one and this one's what we're removing right now. Actually surprised the wick gets hot when you're touching it down there. All right, so I'm gonna grab some tweezers. Pull that fuse out of there. See if it wants to work its way out. It looks like I'm gonna have to bend the tabs a little bit. Actually, it does a really good job though. Can focus in there. That wick just took all that out. So I'm going to bend the tabs a little bit. See if I can work it out of there. One side's out. Okay, so basically that's the fuse that we're moving. And now we're going to replace it. So basically we're going to take this, we're going to insert it in to the slot. I'm going to take it or flip it over backwards. I am going to bend these down a little bit so that I can keep those in place. And grab a little bit of the flux again. Again, maybe this is not needed, but I need all the help I can get. Yeah, that's kind of ugly, but it does hold. The main thing when you're doing these is we don't want to put the heat. Again, this for soldering, I'm new at this, but the main thing you want to do is not put the soldering iron on the board too long, because you can actually damage the board and then you're in a world of hurt. All right, I'm going to take these ends and clip them. Okay. I have one more here. Bend it up a little bit. I'm going to clip it so we get anything to short out. Again, not amazing. I'm sure there's been many much better solder jobs than this, but there we are. So now I'm going to reassemble. We're going to plug it back in and hope for the best here. Actually, while I'm in here, I'm going to clean this up a little bit. That's pretty gross. I didn't realize how gross this was. Looks like that's just rust. All right. So let's go and plug this back in. I was told this cable is reversible, so it doesn't matter which direction it's in, but I will say if you do work on electronics, take pictures, try to pay attention, make marks, because it will help you in the long run to know which direction cables went in. Some cables are smaller than others. You don't pay attention. They're very close. So again, this is the ML2032. I bought this from Amazon. I'm going to slide it in. And then we're going to put the screws back in. I'll go ahead and fast forward this part so you don't have to painfully watch me go through these. Put this back on. Now it does seem easier just to drop these screws in instead of trying to balance them on the screwdriver. We're going to slide this back in. All right, so now for the moment of truth. Okay, so I've got the unit plugged back in. We're going to power it up. So far, so good. I'll go ahead and set the date. All right, here's the moment of truth. We do have the file. Now I'm going to power cycle it, and we'll see what happens now. Let's power cycle it. So it's going to turn it back on, turn it back off. Opposite of that, turn it off, turn it back on. Let's see if that date went away, or if I messed something up. Beautiful. So now we're ready to rock and roll. So I appreciate you watching. I hope this was able to help you. I will tell you that if you are a little nervous about doing it, practice a little bit, use old circuit boards. I go to thrift shops and buy old hardware that doesn't work, and you can use the tools and how to remove pieces and capacitors and things like that. Just kind of used to how soldering irons work, and the wicks. But that is the first time I ever used a wick, and it worked marvelously. So it's pretty amazing. I'm pretty happy. If you're kind of nervous about doing it, just give it a shot. It's a pretty easy, pretty quick fix, and this is Amateur Fix It. Thank you.